So I felt with this week's chapter of Fairy Tail, it was slightly more insightful than last week's chapter. It upped the ante with suspense, had a little dabble of action, but it was very basic at the same time because not too many events happened in the actual chapter. Natsu and Gray met up with Lucy, Gray bringing along that giant bird. We got a little action with Natsu and the bird, and then we find out regarding the mountain that it's actually the flame, and Gray makes the flame disappear, the mountain flame disappear. So it was very basic in that aspect, but I still felt as though, as far as like it upped the ante with the whole suspense, because like what the hell exactly happened at the end when Gray was pretty much using his magic. It feels like from the ending, judging from the way we had the picture of Wendy and it's like, what's this thing that I'm feeling and whatnot. Maybe there's somebody behind the scenes that is doing some of this. Well, obviously there's somebody behind the scenes, but like in particular with this disappearing, it was possibly maybe a spell that if somebody makes the ice, disappear from the flames, then the actual flames would disappear to another place, maybe a spell or somebody's nearby. And that's definitely what my whole take on that particular thing as far as the mystery goes, because there's definitely somebody behind this, and I think it has more to do again with Tartarus and whatnot. So that was a little bit interesting. And also, like I said, finding out that the mountain was the flame, which I think I predicted that earlier, previous chapter as well. So it wasn't really unpredictable or, like a big mystery with that, so to speak. I feel like the flame was around there for the most part. So it was still like we learned it, but it was like whatever. And that bird I actually thought was pretty sick. I thought it was like some strong bird because in the last chapter, it just started gobbling down on the freaking demon guy. So I was like, okay, this bird might be something, but looks like Natsu just beat the fuck out of it. So it can't be that freaking strong, even though I don't think it was completely defeated. I mean, I know it went flying and whatnot, no pun intended, for what it did when it grabbed the demon guy and just started chowing down on him, even though he was injured. Makes me think, well, okay, he's strong. But then in this chapter, just Natsu starts slamming on his eye and shit. So disappointed with that guy. Just like that bird was a piece of shit. Maybe he might be more of like, pulling the strings or something, because I think this bird, at the very least, this bird, it was giving like insight to whoever is actually pulling the strings. His eye, maybe that's why it's like a big eye, and it's teleporting back information to whoever's doing these things, behind the scenes and whatnot. So I think that was its main function. But now that the flame disappeared, then the person, whoever's doing it, they're going to continue onward elsewhere with this whole flame thing. But if at the end of the situation they're going to have to go somewhere else, then that's already going to stay in Fairy Tail's name. I'm hoping that there's something more to this, in this island that they'll be able to figure out. But yeah, this chapter in a nutshell is very basic. You gave a bit more insight, and it felt more suspenseful than last week's chapter. And overall, it was like a okay type of chapter. Like it was fine. It wasn't like great or anything like that. It was like kind of enjoyable, but at times it was slow. And I think that's just like overall this arc has been like the different thing about this arc opposed to like any other Fairy Tail arc is the pacing. And like, chapters like this once again display that like the pacing has gone very slow compared to previous events, how things would just, blaze through and stuff. So I definitely say, like, again, with this chapter as well, the pacing is for the most part what feels like slower, like events are happening a lot slower. And I don't know if that's purposely on Hiromashima's part or whatnot, but it definitely felt, you could feel it in this chapter and in many chapters prior to this one, that the pacing is a lot slower, but still basic. I think it was better than last week's chapter, because last week it was just, the fight with Gray, and I wasn't too particularly fond of that. I didn't think it was done properly, but this one, it was like, whatever, the bird got his ass kicked, and he's probably not giving back any information anymore. So I'm going to give this one 6 out of 10. It was fine, better than last week's, but still nothing great. Let's see things move a bit faster. Let me know what you think. First of all, that bird, was it giving insight back to whoever's doing this, and who do you think is in charge of doing all this? Who's pulling the strings behind this? I'd imagine it has something to do possibly with Tartarus, or maybe even Zeref or something like that, even though I don't think Zeref would necessarily spy from a distance, because he just would come out and do shit himself. That's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up if you can't wait to see what the hell is going to happen as far as like who the hell made the flames disappear and shit, because that's definitely the most interesting thing. Right now, this arc, the best thing that it has going for it is the suspense. I'll definitely say that. But I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.